So here's the project that I came up to, and I hope you will see the random all over it. I got one of these, black and red, bound. They're kind of handsome in a really functional way. They're lined notebooks, and there's 100 pages in each notebook. And if I write on both pages, each notebook, therefore, will have 200 pages of manuscript. Really manuscript, because I'm writing on it with a series of really beautiful fountain pens that I use. And so my idea was that I bought 10 of them, and I said, when all 10 notebooks are filled, I will be done. That's the only way I'll know that I'm done, is when I fill all 10 of the notebooks. There will be no other sort of measure of doneness for this. The other thing that I decided I wanted to do, I've actually kind of introduced you to today. I want it to be a kind of memoir. I wanted to continue the kind of social commentary philosophy thing that I've been doing for the last few years. And third, I want to get back to writing fiction. So it's a very, as my former colleagues like to say in a way that never failed to drive me crazy, it's very hybridical. Go into an English department and you'll hear words like that, unfortunately. Doesn't matter how ugly they are, as long as they have some, some cash value currently. So I really only, I'm just getting started on this. Maybe I've been doing it for about a year. But I did want to kind of give you a little taste of it. And the remarkable thing about this taste that I'm going to give you from this project is that the thing has been reviewed already, believe it or not. My project, I haven't even barely got it started, and already somebody has written a review. So I'm just going to read this review to you. It's a very distinguished review from a principal book reviewer for the New York Times. So it's Books of the Time, December 10th, 2020. A review by Michiko Kakutani. All at Once, that's the title of my project, All at Once. Published as an e-novel only by Curtis White. Published by Absolute Optics and Laser Technologies in Raleigh, North Carolina. Begin review. For readers who remember Curtis White's last novel, they will recall a dismal and highly self-conscious work in the manner of John Barth, writer of Windy Doorstops, as the New York Times once put it presciently. That earlier novel, titled The Owl Who Curled Toupees, was so utterly self-conscious that it is a wonder that he was even able to speak the words into his dictaphone. That novel was rigid with self-awareness. The reader is only surprised that writing the book didn't send him into a paralytic coma. If the novel can be said to have a style, it is the limp style of performance anxiety. Imagine my astonishment then on cracking open his new magnum opus. Parenthesis, my e-reader actually makes a tiny cracking sound when I start a new book. So cute. At better than 3,000 pages, I was anything but optimistic. But from the first, this novel was a joy for, as she likes to say, the reader. White showcases, and these are all quotes from her reviews, White showcases an impressive literary toolkit. Every essential storytelling skill plus plenty of bells and whistles. All at Once provides a picture window on modern middle-class life, and about time. White creates an unforgettable American family. The story concerns a man, Gerald Tristano, who discovers that his marriage to a younger woman has been a mere illusion, a chimera. What he discovers, to his horror, is that she, Bridget, has met a man, Bobby Boy, at an online dating service and has been having sex with him. The new couple announces at dinner that they have ambitious plans to create a website of their own where they will invite guest stars over to have sex with Bridget for later posting on the web. They ask Gerald to be the webmaster. A sad one to be sure. The site is called doozy.com, although in the course of the book, the name seems to change without explanation to Dinger, Dandy, Delight, Doggies, and even, when things get really grim, Dungeon. Much of the novel's action is described as taking place inside of Gerald's computer. A first-person narrator, Gerald provides harrowing accounts about three confused, searching people capable of change and perhaps even transcendence. White limbs the delicate, finely articulated consciousness of even the most disturbing characters, even Bobby Boy, who is often tellingly referred to as that swinging dick. But in Curtis White's world, even a swinging dick can inspire sympathy. Truly, it is as if White has finally dropped all the precious posturing of metafiction and returned home, the prodigal son, to the riches of the American novel, in the American grain, in the rich vernacular of the American voice. For goodness sake, there is even a character, a boxer named Jake. The miracle of it all is that the novel takes place entirely within a network of computers. But how richly it is felt, how striking, how resonant, and finally, how familiar it all is. Perhaps the most moving section, one that touches every modern life, concerns Gerald's attempt to find his wife by searching in an enormous cloud site, something so vast and metaphysical that it seems to transcend all of the thousands of personal computers and 1,000 separate family dens that, in theory, make up this ethereal world. The long, mournful searches among the web's seedier dives are some of the most painful, revealing, and finally beautiful passages in the long history of the novel. One thinks of Goethe's Dr. Faust. One minor complaint here, Gerald is said to be led on this journey into the twilight of the web by a homunculus, who seems not to be much more than an intense dot of light in a glass phial. For all White's painstaking and detailed realism, some of the descriptions of the homunculus in his little test tube or whatever it is, walking down a brick staircase, are hard to swallow. Still, something had to lead him to the home place of the mothers, or MILFs. I have to say that I have no idea what to make of the strange claim that these MILFs are the eternal feminine. This will perhaps offend some of his readers on the West Coast, of whom I can't help but hope there will be many. Still, Curtis White's All at Once is a masterpiece. You know, I've never heard anybody say that about any of my work. It's funny. I had to say it about myself finally. It is, as he says, and this is the subtitle of the book, the last possible work of literary gigantism. It is a romance that will not leave the reader's eye dry. All at Once is an indelible portrait, not only of our time, but of any time. And that is all I have for you this evening.